Every empire swears that the banknote it issues is safe. Every government claims that its promises will remain trustworthy forever. But history never hesitates to show us what really happens. From Rome to France, from the Confederacy to modern Lebanon, people have woken up one morning to realize that their wealth had become worthless, their salaries meaningless numbers, and their futures had been taken from them. Crisis isn't rare. In fact, that's the whole point. The real issue isn't that the system collapses, it's how you protect yourself when it does. The most dangerous financial mistake is convincing yourself that things are timeless. We look at our bank accounts, at our national currency, and we say this is safe. But money isn't something steady like the mountains that have stood for centuries. Money is only trust, and that trust can crumble overnight. That's why history is both cruel and a teacher. Every collapse leaves behind lessons to be learned. It shows who stood tall and who turned to ashes. And if you look closely, those who survived weren't the ones who trusted the most, but the ones who doubted first. Take the Byzantine Empire, for example, the eastern half of Rome, which lasted another 1,000 years. At the very core of its economy was the golden solidus. It was so reliable that everyone from Europe to Asia accepted it without question. At the time, it was practically a global reserve currency. But here's the classic mistake. Rome had already destroyed its silver denarius, devaluing it until it was little more than a piece of tin. Centuries passed, but Byzantium made the same mistake, this time with gold. First, they slightly reduced its purity. Then they began mixing it with cheaper metals. At first, of course, nobody noticed. Then the trust that held everything together began to crack. That gold coin, once used across all Mediterranean trade, became nothing more than a political story. And what was left in the end? Not the promises of the government, not the printed banknotes, but those who held pure gold or land. Because governments always give in to the temptation to water down money, and when that happens, real value moves in directions they can't control. But collapse doesn't always come from government mistakes. Sometimes the balance of the world simply shifts on its own, like the Black Death that devastated Europe in the mid-13th century. Between 1347 and 1351, half the population vanished from the earth. Cities went silent, trade collapsed, villages disappeared. Yet economically, the story isn't just one of disaster. When labor becomes scarce, workers gain value. Those who survived could demand higher wages. There was plenty of land and food, but too few people. Suddenly, those with skills or money found themselves with unexpected power. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? During COVID-19, we saw the same thing happen. Ships burned, governments printed trillions, and in the end, those with cash or investments grew richer, while wage earners were left behind. In short, pandemics reshuffle the deck. That's how it has always been. And as history repeats itself, it teaches us one more thing clearly. There's no such thing as too big to fail. Florence's giant banks once lent money to the King of England. When he didn't repay, they went bankrupt overnight. The city and its people were ruined. And once again, people learned, size never equals reliability. Just like Lehman Brothers in 2008. Just like the Lebanese banks in 2019. They all show us the same truth. Promises only hold while everything is fine. A nearly identical story played out during the American Civil War. Both the North and the South printed money to pay the cost of war. The result: inflation, chaos, worthless notes, and empty wallets. After the war, only the truly valuable things remained: land, gold, food. The same thing happened in France during the Revolution. They created a new currency called the assignat, claiming it was backed by church property. But they printed too much and eventually it lost its value. People couldn't afford bread, riots broke out. The winners? Those who owned goods and food, not paper. Asia's 1997 crisis was no different. Thailand was drowning in dollar debt. When the baht collapsed, everything fell apart. Investors fled without looking back, unemployment skyrocketed. And once again, those who held dollars or property stood tall. Those in debt were trapped. And today, between 2019 and 2021, Lebanon shut down its banks. People woke up unable to access their accounts. Their money vanished overnight. The government said, "We'll fix it," but no one survived financially. The winners, those who kept their wealth abroad or held gold and land. The rest, they were pulled into the whirlpool. And this wasn't so long ago. In 2008, Americans lost their homes. In 2020, trillions were printed, but wages barely moved. In 2023, regional banks shut their doors. And everyone was reminded once again, too big to fail has never existed and never will. So how do you protect yourself when everything else falls apart? History doesn't give one single answer. In Byzantium, it was gold. During the plague, it was cash. In Florence, it was skepticism. In America, it was land. In France, it was food. In Asia, it was being debt-free. In Lebanon, it was keeping your money outside the banks. But the theme is always the same. Those who hold real value always stay standing.